One day, my wife suggested the idea of an open marriage, thinking everything would go according to her plan. But little did she know, I was about to show her a reality that was nothing like what she expected. The story begins with a compelling hook, immediately grabbing the audience's attention. David, the narrator from Austin, Texas, sets the stage with a provocative question. What would you do if your partner came to you out of the blue asking for an open marriage? Well, I agreed, but not for the reason she thought. Let's just say, reality hit her harder than she expected. This statement intrigues viewers, hinting at a tale filled with twists and emotional revelations. Next, David provides a brief overview of the story without giving away too much. When my wife suggested an open marriage, I played along, but as I gave her what she asked for, she quickly realized the grass isn't always greener on the other side. This sets the tone for a narrative filled with tension, growth, and an ultimate shift in power dynamics within their relationship. To ground the story, David introduces himself and his wife Lisa, painting a picture of their relationship. For years, I thought our marriage was solid. Sure, we had our ups and downs like any couple, but nothing that prepared me for the bombshell she dropped that day. He reflects on their seemingly stable life in Austin, highlighting their shared history and the foundation of trust he believed they had. This introduction not only establishes the context, but also humanizes David, drawing viewers into his perspective and making them eager to hear how the story unfolds. The narrative transitions smoothly from the hook and introduction to delve deeper into David and Lisa's earlier relationship. David reminisces about their happier days, vividly describing their journey together. We were happy once, or at least I thought we were. We met in college, fell in love over late-night study sessions and spontaneous road trips, and built a life together. From the outside, we seemed like the perfect couple, the kind of relationship others envied. This reflection paints a picture of their once strong bond, making the audience feel the weight of what's at stake. Gradually, David reveals how the cracks in their relationship began to surface, creating a sense of foreboding. But then, things started to change. It was subtle at first. She'd spend more time on her phone, glued to conversations she wouldn't share with me. She began going out with her friends more often, staying out later than usual, and her excuses became vaguer. The warmth between us started to feel distant. These details build tension, subtly hinting that Lisa's priorities may have shifted, leaving David to question their foundation. Then, David recounts the pivotal moment that would alter the course of their marriage. One evening, after dinner, she sat me down on the couch. Her tone was calm, almost rehearsed. Then she said, "I think we should try an open marriage. I want us to explore other people." I remember sitting there, stunned, as if the air had been knocked out of me. It felt like a betrayal, like the person I thought I knew was suddenly a stranger. But instead of exploding, I kept my cool and told her, "Let me think about it." Following the shock of Lisa's suggestion for an open marriage, David recounts the emotional turmoil he initially experienced. At first, I wanted to scream, to ask her how she could even suggest such a thing. After everything we'd built together, how could she throw it all away so casually? But then I paused. Instead of reacting in anger, I thought about it. If this was the path she wanted to take, I decided, fine, let's play her game. His measured response not only conveys his deep hurt, but also hints at the calculated strategy forming in his mind. David explains his reasoning for agreeing to the open marriage, painting a picture of both resolve and subtle defiance. I wasn't going to beg her to stay faithful. If she thought the grass was greener on the other side, I'd let her go find out, but not without making my own moves in the process. If this was her way of testing our marriage, I was going to make sure it wasn't just me who faced the consequences of that choice. This explanation adds depth to his character, showing a mix of emotional strength and a sense of justice. With a plan beginning to form, David describes how he and Lisa laid out the ground rules for their new arrangement. We sat down and set some rules: complete honesty, no secrets, and no prioritizing anyone else over each other. She seemed eager, almost too eager, to agree to these terms. And while I nodded along, pretending to be on board, deep down, I knew she already had someone in mind. This revelation heightens the tension and builds anticipation, as viewers start to sense that Lisa's confidence in her decision might be misplaced. This segment transitions seamlessly into the implementation of the rules, where David begins to execute his plan with a quiet determination. His decision to play along sets the stage for a narrative shift, as Lisa's excitement for this new chapter blinds her to the consequences that lie ahead. As the open marriage officially begins, David describes how Lisa eagerly embraced the new arrangement, diving in with enthusiasm. It didn't take her long to get started. Within days, she was meeting new people, going on dates, and coming home late with an almost giddy excitement. She seemed completely thrilled with her newfound freedom, as though this was the life she had been waiting for. Her actions demonstrate her excitement, but they also begin to highlight her lack of awareness about the potential consequences of her decisions. While Lisa immersed herself in her new lifestyle, David shares his own response to their agreement. But while she was out exploring her options, I wasn't sitting idle. I used the time to focus on myself. I reconnected with old friends, started hitting the gym, and worked on improving parts of my life I had neglected for years. It was strange, but I started to feel more like myself again, like the version of me I had lost somewhere along the way. This shift in David's focus not only contrasts sharply with Lisa's approach, but also subtly signals his emotional growth and readiness for what's to come. Then David reveals the pivotal turning point in the story, one that neither he nor Lisa anticipated. I wasn't actively looking for anyone, but then something unexpected happened. I met someone. It started as a casual interaction, but the more time we spent together, the more I realized how easy it was to be around her. She reminded me what it felt like to be truly appreciated, to be seen as more than just a convenience. For the first time in a long time, I felt wanted. This development marks a significant shift in the dynamic, as David begins to experience a kind of connection and fulfillment that contrasts sharply with Lisa's shallow pursuit of freedom. The narrative naturally transitions into the shift in power dynamics, as the emotional weight of David's new connection begins to tip the scales. Lisa's enthusiasm for the open marriage blinds her to the fact that David is no longer playing by her rules. He's creating a new set of his own. As time passes, the open marriage dynamic begins to take a noticeable turn, and Lisa's initial confidence starts to waver. At first, she seemed completely unfazed by the arrangement. She was thrilled with the freedom to do as she pleased and didn't seem to give my actions much thought. But then she began to notice something: me. She saw that I wasn't sitting at home waiting for her anymore. I was thriving. I was thriving. I had lost weight, looked happier, and even started attracting attention from others. That's when her attitude began to shift. This gradual change in Lisa's perspective sets the stage for a reversal in their relationship dynamic. As Lisa observes David's growth and newfound self-assurance, her composure starts to crack. The tables had turned. She began asking more questions about where I was going, what I was doing, and, most importantly, who I was spending my time with. The confidence she once displayed was replaced by subtle insecurity. I could see it in her eyes, hear it in her voice. She didn't like the idea of me enjoying my freedom, especially not the way she had imagined herself doing. This development highlights Lisa's growing jealousy and discomfort as she realizes the open marriage isn't working out in her favor. The fallout from her realization comes swiftly and dramatically. Lisa started pulling back from her dates. The excitement she had for meeting new people began to fade, replaced by an almost desperate attempt to reconnect with me. She wanted us to spend more time together, to talk about how we could make things work again. But by then, something had shifted in me. I wasn't the same man who had hesitated when she first suggested the open marriage. I had found my confidence, my independence, and perhaps even someone who truly valued me. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go back to the way things were. This pivotal moment sets up the emotional climax of the story. It transitions smoothly into the final decision, where David must decide whether to continue with the marriage or embrace his newfound freedom entirely, leaving Lisa to face the consequences of her choices. The story concludes with David reflecting on the profound lessons he has learned from this painful chapter in his life. If there's one thing I've learned through all of this, it's that you can't force someone to see your worth. Love and respect should never be one-sided. Sometimes the best thing you can do is step back and let them face the consequences of their own choices. His words underscore the emotional growth and clarity he has gained, offering a poignant takeaway for the audience. David shares how he took decisive steps to move forward with his life. After that final confrontation, I knew it was time to close the door on our marriage for good. I filed for divorce, and it wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Since then, I've moved on to a happier, healthier life, surrounded by people who truly value me. This update provides a sense of closure and hope, showing that despite the challenges, there is a path to healing and self-empowerment. The final note ties up the story with a hint of poetic justice. As for Lisa, let's just say she's learned the hard way that you can't have your cake and eat it too. Life isn't about keeping all the options open while neglecting the people who matter most. This reinforces the theme of accountability and the consequences of selfish actions. To engage the audience, David ends with a direct and thought-provoking call to action. What would you have done in my shoes? Would you have agreed to the open marriage, or would you have walked away sooner? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this one. This final appeal encourages interaction and keeps the viewers invested in the narrative, rounding off the story with a strong and memorable ending. Thank you for being a part of this story with me. If it moved you, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Taleteller. I've noticed many of you who enjoy these stories aren't subscribed yet. By subscribing, you're not just following a channel. You're becoming part of a community that values deep, meaningful storytelling. Let's continue exploring these heartfelt journeys together. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss our next story.